Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh Shai.
And when he was demanded of the Pharisees when the kingdom of God should come, he answered them and said, The kingdom of God cometh not with observation, neither shall they say, Lo here, or Lo there, but behold, the kingdom of God is within you. Isaiah 32. Behold, a king shall reign in righteousness, and princes shall rule in judgment.
Because, hey man, we angels too. We're just wrapped in this flesh, but we have that angelic spirit within us, man. The difference between an angel and us, they don't have the flesh. They're already perfected, okay? They're spirits of fire. That spirit is within these earthen vessels that we hold right now, okay? And we're fighting to get back in that state which we had from before, that glory which we had from before. Only difference is we're going to rule in planet Earth in new flesh. All right, so we're going to have those angelic spirits that we have right now in newer sinless flesh. All right, we're going to be perfected as our Lord and Savior Yahweh Shai is perfected. And he's going to rule in the planet Earth with 144,000 ruling under him, all being perfected in perfect flesh with the angelic spirits, with angelic power. Okay?
But now hath he obtained a more excellent ministry, by how much also he is the mediator of a better covenant, which was established upon better promises. For if that first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second. For finding fault with them, he said, Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel, and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, because they continued not in my covenant, and I regarded them not, saith the Lord. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my laws into their mind, and write them in their hearts, and I will be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people.
Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh Shai.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Kapadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers. And peace and blessings, salutations to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners, whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Al Shai. All right, and what I want to get into today, is go into, all right, the relationship between Iran, Russia, and also China. All right, and we know, all right, that Iran and Russia play a major part, okay, in militarily, all right, as far as prophecy. Going against the West, and destroying this beast system, pretty much spearheading the destruction of this beast system, which is going to be finished off by Yahweh Shai, okay, and the nukes, okay. So as we see these things unfold, like I said, ever since October the 7th, things have only escalated, with that conflict, okay, in that region, which they call the Middle East. Okay, with those small hats, pretty much, being the instigators, of the conflict, which that's their role in prophecy, is to draw these, superpowers into this war, as we always get into. And what we're seeing, all right, is the Lord, all right, orchestrating this third world war. Okay, the Lord is the one, all right, that's coordinating these things, through Yahweh. All right, so I want to go here. Let's get I want to get Proverbs 21:1. It says the king's heart, all right, or his mind is in the hand of the Lord. Okay, and if something is in your hand, it means it's within your control. Okay, so the Lord is pretty much letting you know that He's in full control of the rulers of the earth. Okay, it says as the rivers of water, He turneth it whithersoever He will. Okay, and it's all about the Lord's will being fulfilled, and the Lord wants a third world war. All right, that third woe. Okay, the Lord wants that, so we're seeing the will of the Lord, play out real time. Okay, all these people that talk about, man, I hope that there isn't a war. Like I talked to a military man the other day, Jake, that was in the Navy. He's hoping that it's not going to be a war. Well, the Lord wants a war. All right. So he's playing on the minds of the rulers. He's putting a particular spirit, all right, on all these different rulers and leaders of these nations, all right, to be at odds, man. He's making certain of them, be allies, all right, and certain of them be at odds. And it's all to fulfill his will. If a brother could, um, let's get that Sirach 18 verses 1 and 2. Sirach 18, 1 and 2, Baba Shah. And I'm gonna cue up this video. All right, we're gonna go into. It's like a 32-minute video, but we're gonna deal with like the first 20 minutes of it. I'm gonna try to talk less as possible, stop it every now and then and kind of, expound on some things. But he's gonna break it down. This guy, this channel, Kings in General, it's a pretty good channel. If you're into the history documentaries, he's pretty good, at explaining things. So yeah, we're gonna get it started in a minute. I want to get that precept real quick. Yeah, man, it's active. This thing is active, man. I'm just interested in seeing, the response. Okay, yeah, the water brother. This the brother Corner Walk, GMS per always hopeful elect. All right, this is Sirach 18:1. It says, He that liveth forever have created all things in general. Okay, the Lord only is righteous, and there is none other but He. So yeah, put verse 3, Bob Kasham, brother. I think that's the point. That's the point I want. Okay, but when you read this chapter, it's going into how the Lord, all right, is the creator of all things. He brought forth Yahweh. Yahweh brought forth, the first fruits, and those Yahweh and the first fruits created everything. Okay, so all these spirits that are in these other nations were created, okay, by the Heavenly Father through Yahweh and the Elohim. So He has full control, okay, of those spirits, okay, and what we're seeing, all right, is the Lord manipulating these spirits for His will. Okay, verse 3, the water brother is Sirach 18:3. It says, Who governeth the world with the palm of His hand. You see that? So all these world events, all these conflicts, and all the events that we see, even if it's Esau using CERN and the harp, guess what? The Lord, Esau is just a tool that the Lord uses. Okay, but he's still he's in full control. No one is operating outside, all right, the will of the Heavenly Father. Okay, no one is doing anything based on free will and their own agenda. No, they're all right being manipulated for the will of the Lord. all right, to come to pass. All right, and we're seeing it, just play out real time. It says, who governeth the whole world with the palm of his hand, and all things, okay, and it says, and all things obey his will, for he is the king of all. By his power divine holy things among, all right, them from profane. Okay, so the Lord has complete control of everything that we see happening, man. All right, and he sets it up to where the alliances that he wants, okay, are gonna play out, and the rivalries that he wants are going to play out, and it's all going towards his will, man. Okay, yep, brother got another one. So, brother, corner wild GMS pray always hope for elect. Psalms 47:2. For the Lord Most High is terrible. He is a great king over all the earth. Okay, he has complete dominion over all existence, man. So everything that we see happening in the earth is a direct result of what the Lord wants to happen, man. Okay, so want to play this, all right, and it's going to explain, the connections with Iran, Russia, China. China is going to be a major player as well, So these events, one thing we have to understand: there's no war with just Iran by itself. All right, nah. All right, Russia will be involved according to prophecy. All right, and the allies of Russia, okay, will be involved according to prophecy. Okay, we're going to get those things, Yeah, so let's get into it.
The end of the Cold War was a watershed moment for the geopolitical balance of power. For the first time in centuries, a single state, the United States of America, was powerful enough to exert its influence everywhere in the world. Following the demise of the Soviet Union, there was no other country capable of rivaling American power. Despite this, states like Russia, China, and Iran have always opposed America's growing influence in their respective regions. And as the United States committed several strategic blunders in Iraq and Afghanistan, and failed to exercise a stabilizing influence in war-torn countries like Syria and Libya, it suffered a significant reputational blow. Gradually, countries like Russia, China, and Iran, which opposed America's unipolarity, started becoming more vocal in their criticism of the post-Cold War international order. Today, we will examine if Russia, China, and Iran can deepen their relations and become a fully fledged alliance, akin to NATO, or if their cooperation is situational. One such situation where relations can change quickly would be a conflict of nations. And what do you know, this video is sponsored by Conflict of Nations. And no, we're not saying we're sponsored by war itself, but by a free real-time grand strategy game where you compete with other players high, or use terrifying weapons of mass destruction to cripple your rivals. Since the game is always relations between these countries of premium subscription for free, but that's only for the next 30 days, so act now. First, let's examine the history of relations between these countries to understand their historical context. The Russian Empire was among the powers exploiting Imperial China's decline in the 19th and 20th centuries. The Soviet Union supported Mao in the Chinese Civil War, and following the communist victory, the countries enjoyed a short period of close friendship. But after Khrushchev's secret speech, the Sino-Soviet relations gradually deteriorated, and at one point escalated to an armed conflict on the border. Watch our Cold War video on these topics. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, relations between Russia and China have been steadily improving, as their interests have aligned in many spheres. Russia and Iran have historically been rivals in the South Caucasus and the Caspian Sea region. But as Iran suffered from internal instability and turmoil, it could not contest the Russian and then Soviet dominance in the region. In the aftermath of the Islamic Revolution, Ayatollah Khomeini had no intention of being involved in the Cold War. Despite open animosity towards the United States, he saw the Soviet Union as the lesser Satan. But the collapse of the Soviet Union and the gradual anti-Western turn of Russia brought these two countries closer. Due to geographical distance, Iran and China did not have particularly notable ties throughout history, and similar to the Sino-Russian and Russo-Iranian relations, bilateral relations between Iran and China strengthened in the 21st century after China started positioning itself as a global player. This is when the bilateral relations between these countries became close and transformed into multilateral cooperation in some areas. In 1997, at the time when Russia was gradually abandoning its nascent pro-Western course and was growing unhappy with NATO expansion into its former Eastern European satellites, and at the time China was starting to contemplate transforming itself from an economic powerhouse into a geopolitical force, the nations signed a joint declaration on a multipolar world and the establishment of a new international order. There, Russia and China proclaimed their support for a new multipolar global order based on respect for sovereignty, non-interference in each other's internal affairs, and the right of each country to choose its path of development in the light of its specific conditions and without interference from other states. With this treaty and their policies, they have implicitly and explicitly opposed the existing global order, based on Western-supported notions such as human rights transcending borders, the rule of law, and democracy. In 2001, Russia and China signed the Treaty of Good Neighborliness and Friendly Cooperation, underscoring a strategic partnership between them on a broad array of topics, such as economic and trade relations, cooperation in the technology sphere, and international relations. Most importantly, the treaty implied military cooperation and conduct of discussions in case of a threat against one of the states. Around the same time, Russia and China created the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, with Central Asian Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan. At its inception, this organization was focused on security-related issues, such as counter-terrorism, fighting separatism, extremism, and drug trafficking. Since then, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization has expanded to include major Asian powers like India, Pakistan, and Iran. The SCO has grown in prominence, becoming an important platform for military, economic, and energy cooperation. Since China is a massive manufacturer, it requires enormous energy resources, and Russia has them. Therefore, it was only natural for China and Russia to establish an energy partnership. In 2009, Russia and China signed a deal to build the Eastern Siberia Pacific Ocean oil pipeline, which started transporting oil to China in 2011. Furthermore, in 2014, both sides signed a 30-year gas deal worth $400 billion, which envisaged the construction of the Power of Siberia pipeline. In 2019, it started delivering gas to China. Overall, economic and trade relations between Russia and China have been steadily improving too. The trade turnover between these countries has exceeded $100 billion, as China has become the biggest trade partner of Russia. China's Belt and Road Initiative launch has played a vital role here, as Russia is one of the important transit points connecting China to European markets.
Did you know that you could get $50,000 to over $150,000 of investment capital, 0% interest?
Following.
So you see, how, the alliance of China and Russia, okay, they go back, 2001, so it's almost 23 years, of being, economical allies, cooperating, militarily, okay, and China pretty much, hey, there's some major deals going on, major oil deals, major trade deals, a lot of, China's products are introduced to Europe, through Russia, so they have a locked tight relationship. Okay, like I said, these ties are not just based off, China and Russia, Iran, they're not just good drinking buddies, they locked in, their economies are intertwined. Okay, the militaries have become intertwined over the years. Okay, so yeah, man, you're gonna keep going into it. All right, you're gonna bring Iran into play in the picture,
the imposition of Western sanctions on Russia in 2014 after the unrecognized annexation of Crimea, and in 2022 after the full-fledged and unprovoked invasion of Ukraine, Russia has tried to avoid using dollars in their trade. Russia's removal from SWIFT in 2022 accelerated the pace of this endeavor, as Russia and China agreed to trade for Russian gas supplies in rubles and yuan. In November 2022, Russian Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak stated that the share of currencies from states considered friendly by Russia rose to 31% in the Russian foreign exchange market, with the yuan having the highest portion. Economic cooperation and membership in the same organization are all well and good, but any strategic alliance arguably cannot be possible without significant military cooperation, and Russia and China have been developing just that in recent years. In 2015, Russia started selling its Su-35 fighters and S-400 air defense systems to China. In September 2018, Russia conducted the Vostok 2018 military exercises, which included the Chinese army. Since then, the two countries have participated in joint military exercises within the framework of their bilateral relations and under the auspices of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. In 2022, Russia and China carried out joint naval and ground military exercises on several occasions, both in a group with other countries and just the two of them. Even though there might have been negative moments in military cooperation between the countries, such as the Russian state defense conglomerate Rostec accusing China of theft of Russian military technologies, overall, the military partnership between these two states has been on a steady course of development. In early 2021, a senior Chinese official claimed there was no limit to Sino-Russian military cooperation. While Russia and Iran have historically had problematic relations and competed for influence in the Caucasus, Central Asia, and the Caspian Sea, sanctions imposed on Russia in 2014 and the war in Syria brought them together. In 2014, the two nations signed an oil-for-goods deal, reportedly worth $20 billion, which envisaged Russia's purchase of up to 500,000 barrels of Iranian oil per day in exchange for Russian products. This aimed to help alleviate the pressure imposed by sanctions on the economies of both countries. Russia has also reportedly benefited from Iranian know-how in evading international sanctions, particularly after the start of the war in Ukraine in February 2022. Sanctions pushed both countries to cooperate more closely, to avoid isolation, and to boost their economies. Russo-Iranian trade turnover has modestly but steadily increased since then, reaching more than $4 billion in 2022. Political and military cooperation of Iran has been.
So you see the sanctions from the West, is pretty much forming alliances against itself. Showing that the Lord, has everything that these devils are doing working against them. Okay? So what you're seeing in the West, all right, is every move that they're now making is leading to their downfall. So these sanctions on Iran, these sanctions on Russia, all right, only drew these nations closer together, all right, and, it made them, to be, more creative, with how they did business. It forced them to be more creative and ingenuitive, how they did military, how they developed weapons. Okay. So pretty much what has happened, what America, thought was going to cripple these nations has made them stronger. It has, pretty much intertwined these nations economically and militarily. Okay, these are some big boy deals going down with this oil. Okay, and what Russia is sending Iran for their oil, man. All right, they sending them tools down there, man. Okay, so let's let some more play.
Closely intertwined with the nuclear question of Iran. For a while, it hindered closer military cooperation between the two sides. For instance, one of the consequences of Iran's refusal to stop uranium enrichment was the UN-imposed ban on selling heavy weapons to Iran, which forced Russian President Dmitry Medvedev to ban sales of S-300 air defense systems, military aircraft, armored vehicles, and other military supplies. But military and diplomatic cooperation between Russia and Iran has significantly deepened recently. Particularly the war in Syria, in which both countries backed the Assad regime, can be traced as a significant turning point. Despite some difficulties related to coordination on the ground and competing economic interests in Syria, Russia and Iran closely cooperated to ensure that the Assad regime remained in power and the American goal of ousting Bashar Assad would be defeated. By 2021, Russia, China, and Iran had carried out 3 joint naval military exercises in the Indian Ocean and the Gulf of Oman. Russo-Iranian military cooperation took off after the Russian invasion of Ukraine, with Russia struggling in Ukraine and sanctions somewhat hindering its military production at previous levels. The Kremlin turned towards Iran to negotiate weapon supply. Since September 2022, Iran has supplied thousands of Shahed and Mohajer drones to Russia, which have been used in mass strikes on Ukrainian infrastructure. We do not yet know what Russia is giving in exchange, but it is rumored that Iran has been getting captured Western weapons and Russian Su-35 fighter aircraft. So far, Iran has refused to provide ballistic missiles to Russia, reportedly fearing further sanctions by the UN. Sino-Iranian relations have also developed nicely in the past decade. Even before that, China cooperated with Iran in the energy sphere, as it imports gas and oil from Iran, which helped this heavily sanctioned country survive. In 2011, it was reported that China purchased exclusive rights to several oil and gas fields in Iran. China's economic cooperation with Iran only increased following the signing of the Iran nuclear deal in 2015. In 2021, the country signed the 25-year Strategic Partnership Treaty.
So what we have to understand, China, all right, signed deals with Iran to exclusive deals with certain Iran oil fields. So what does that mean? That means that there's oil fields in Iran that only produce oil for China. There are certain oil fields in Iran that all they do is produce oil for China. Okay? These are heavy economic ties, man. You're not just going to go to war with Iran and Russia and China sit idle. Okay? It's not going to happen. Okay? So the least of the flock, these Israelis, these small hats, what they're doing, okay, is stirring the pot, all right, of an all-out war. Okay, now we understand, like I said, it's gonna escalate and build up to it. You know, they're not gonna jump in directly, but what you're gonna see, you know, as the conflict between Iran and these small hats increase, you're going to see Russia and China begin to get involved and trickle in. Okay? That's how it's going to play out. And it's all according to prophecy, man. Okay? I say, I want to let this play. Then we're going to get into the precepts. You know, I see you brothers lighting it up. All right. So I'm going to go back to it.
China has identified Iran as an alternative route for the Belt and Road project, connecting China and Europe. China has been heavily investing in Iran's infrastructure by funding the construction of Tehran's subway system, dams, and factories, while also playing a role in extracting Iranian coal, zinc, and copper. By 2022, the trade turnover between China and Iran exceeded $20 billion.
How does a funnel change anything, let alone how does a funnel change everything? Well, a funnel can change the car you drive, the house you live in, and how you travel.
So bilateral and multilateral relations between these states have been on the path of steady development. What is bringing them together? First of all, these are 3 authoritarian states, which share opposition to Western ideas of expansion of democracy and human rights trumping state sovereignty. Russia, China, and Iran have routinely condemned protests and opposition movements happening in their countries and in regions influenced by them as American and Western meddling in internal affairs, as attempts to instill an alien set of values. Regimes ruling over these 3 countries are convinced that the ultimate goal of the USA is to overthrow them and to install friendly governments through their soft power and independent NGOs, which authoritarian regimes essentially see as agents of influence of the West. Russia sees color revolutions in countries like Georgia and Ukraine as coups organized by the West, and as meddling in Russia's traditional sphere of influence. Iran's leader, Ayatollah Khomeini, has accused the US and the West of inciting unrest in Iran in connection with the ongoing protest movement in the country. China has made similar remarks concerning protests in Hong Kong. They have used similar rhetoric against internal opposition and independent media, and support each other internationally. For instance, China and Russia resisted the American attempts to discuss the suppression of protests in Iran in 2018 in the UN Security Council. China's justification of this position informs us of the theses around which all three countries align globally. According to China, the Security Council should not discuss the internal affairs of any country, nor is it the venue for any discussion of the human rights situation in a country. The Iranian situation does not pose any threat to international peace or security, nor is it on the agenda of the Security Council. All three countries share a state-centric vision of the international order, based on sovereignty and non-interference in internal affairs. This includes non-interference even in mass violation of human rights. For instance, China's discriminatory policy against its Uyghur minority, which many consider genocidal. We should take such propaganda of adherence to non-interference in internal affairs with a grain of salt, as these countries do not shy away from using internal events as a pretext for interference. Russia's invasion of Ukraine, under the pretext of protecting the rights of Russian-speaking people and denazification of Ukraine, is the most blatant example. But still, all three countries share similar positions on their aspired international order based on sovereignty and non-interference, which is evident both in the 2016 Russia-China and the 2020 Russia-Iran declarations on promoting international law. This largely arises from opposition to the American-led world order. The values proposed by America and Western Europe are essentially based on the primacy of human rights and well-being of people over state sovereignty, which countries like Russia, China, and Iran see as a tool of Western dominance, particularly American unipolarism and interference in their perceived spheres of influence. They reject liberalism as a universal value and argue that each country has its own culture, a path of political development, and values. Hence, their opposition to liberal values is closely intertwined with their desire to oppose American unipolarism and Western expansion, preserve their regimes, and continue exerting influence over their perceived spheres of influence.
So, with these Russia, Iran, and China, they know that America, what they know that they use the propaganda, of inhumane leaders. They know once they start their propaganda that they demonize the leadership of these nations to justify, removing, governments, removing, leaders that they don't like to put up Western friendly leaders. Okay, so with Iran and Russia, especially, they're anti-West. Okay, now China is more in bed with the West, than Iran and Russia, okay, through economics, but what you have is this tight alliance with these three nations. You have, even when you go back to the 2006 war between Hezbollah and those Israelis, the IDF, a lot of their weaponry that they got, that Hezbollah had, it came from China. Okay, and how does Hezbollah have a connect with China? Well, it's through Iran. Okay, and Iran, has become sophisticated, with their military industry. That now Russia and China, they get weapons from Iran, and Iran, and they all trade weapons amongst each other. And Iran, is known for modifying, particular weapons and upgrading, that they get from, Russia and China. Okay, so let me see. Does he go into? Let's see. I'm gonna let it play a little more. Play about a few more minutes of it, then we'll get into the precepts. Okay. But yeah, they're against, and then they know when America speaks about liberation, they understand that that's talking about moral decay. Okay, when America is talking about liberty for all, and peace, that they just love humanity. America a big hypocrite, man. The West, okay, because that's why there's foods, okay, it's foods that are allowed in America that are not allowed in other countries, man. Okay, even the certain foods, that are in these other countries that are in America, they don't have all the chemicals that America food has, man. Okay, so here it is, America, try to present itself, as the moral police of the world, but they're the most wicked to their own citizens, man. Everyone is on the slow kill. Okay, in America, all the people on the slow kill. America is the most worked, okay, society on earth. No one works more hours than the American citizen. Okay, the inflation, it's just continual oppression. The homeless, okay, like I say, poison, through the foods, poison, through the air. Okay, crime is off the chain. But then they love to present these other leaders, as inhumane. But there's no government more inhumane than the American government, but they just pamper, all right, the society, with convenience and entertainment, okay, to make it seem as if, they just, all about the people, they're just so, humane, and, there's these great, humanitarians of the earth. Nah, man, it's the exact opposite. In China and what mainly Russia and Iran, they like, nah, man, that ain't the play. Okay, so I'm gonna let a little bit of this play, and then we get to the prophecy, man.
In 1998, when Russia started gradually withdrawing from its amicable relations with the West, the Russian Foreign Minister Evgeny Primakov proposed a strategic triangle in Eurasia between Russia, China, and India. Iran later expressed its interest in joining it. Although this specific union did not come to fruition, Russia, China, Iran, and other less powerful countries opposing the existing global order, such as Venezuela, Nicaragua, North Korea, Cuba, and so on, have regularly defended each other's positions in the international arena, particularly in UN votes. These countries vote based on a myriad of strategic, ideological, and tactical reasons, but the opposition to the American-led global order is undoubtedly at the center of this. Russia opposes the expansion of NATO and the emergence of pro-Western governments in the post-Soviet regions. And both China and Iran support this position. Tehran opposes American presence in the Middle East, its role in Syria and Iraq, and is supported in this position by both China and Russia. China opposes the creation of the AUKUS in the Pacific region, and Russia and Iran support China in this. According to the Institute of Contemporary Islamic Thought director Zafar Bangash, there is a convergence of views between Tehran, Beijing, and Moscow in confronting US aggression. This is beginning to take the shape of a tripartite alliance that will not only confront but expel American mischief-mongers from the Eurasian region. The global balance of power has clearly shifted away from the US towards this region. These three countries are the center of the new emerging power bloc. So, we have established that these countries have significant reasons to align internationally. Their chief goal is to prevent American expansion in Eurasia and into their perceived spheres of influence. But can they really become a center of the new emerging power bloc? There are several important reasons for putting it under a question mark.
That's the point with that, because he's going to start criticizing, the alliance. But at the end of the day, we know prophetically what this is, okay? Because he's just thinking on the carnal level. All right, he doesn't understand the spiritual overtone to what's going on. All right, so let's get into some prophecies. All right, the show, okay, the Lord, all right, has this happening for His purpose. Okay, now when you go to which I know brothers got it, but I want to jump around. It'd be easy for me to pull these things up. The water to you brothers, adding to the live screen. This is Jeremiah 50:9. It says, for lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon, because this alliance is based on opposition, all right, of America, which is Babylon the Great, that the Bible speaks of. Okay, the daughter of Babylon. It said, for lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly, okay, an assembly of great nations, all right, and all these alliances, okay, that we see happening outside, of America, all right. This is what the Lord is raising up for this war, okay. All these nations are aligning themselves just to go against Babylon in the West, okay, and even, all right, those EU nations are going to eventually turn on Babylon. All right, it's going to get bad for America, man. All right, it's going to get extremely bad for America, man, in this third world war. All right, and it says, and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, beginning with Russia. Okay, you're gonna say China. Okay, you got India. That's in the Shanghai. All right, cooperation. Okay. You have Iran, all right, North Korea, okay, Turkey, all right, which Turkey is spoken of in prophecy, because Turkey has been speaking out against, the actions of the IDF, the Israelis ever since October the 7th, okay. So it's all happening exactly as the Lord said it would happen, okay. And it says, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. And it's speaking of the missiles, man. Okay? Because Russia, all right, and these, Russia, China, and Iran, all right, hey, those three nations, all right, are going to be at the forefront, of the nuclear destruction, okay, of America, man. And everyone else that has nuclear capability as well. Okay, so let's go from there. And you jump around here. All right, this is Jeremiah 50:29. It says, call together the archers against Babylon. So the Lord is calling out these nations to align themselves. Archers, all these nations that have nuclear capability. India is a nuclear nation. Okay. So all these nations that have nuclear capability, the Lord is calling them to align with one another for his purpose. All right. It says, all ye that bend the bow against it round about, let none thereof escape. Recompense her according to her work, according to all that she have done, do unto her, for she have been proud against the Lord, against the Holy One of Israel, man. Okay. So as America, as we see, America has become increasingly proud, down to, the lowest citizen, everyone, in America just operates on pride. Okay. And, it's laden with sin. Okay. America is in the all out rebellion against righteousness. Okay. But the Lord wants it like that. It has to be like that. Okay. But the Lord has a plan, like, it's an end game to this. These alliances that we see happening, where the Lord, all right, is doing that because he has a purpose against America, man, against Babylon. Okay, to turn this place to a desert and the people in it. All right. Matter of fact, let's get there real quick. It's Isaiah 34. As we read these prophecies, we're reading, the end game. All right, this is Isaiah 34:4. It says, and all the host of heaven shall be dissolved. All right, that's the militaries of the earth. Because Yahushua, he's going to come destroy all these militaries. All right, it says, and the heaven shall be rolled together as a scroll, and it's the nuclear clouds, the mushroom clouds, and all their hosts shall fall down as a leaf falleth from the vine, and there's the fallen fig from the fig tree. For my sword, all right, which are the nukes, shall be bathed in heaven, which is the atmosphere. Behold, it shall come down on Idumea and upon the people of my curse to judgment. Okay, and this is what this war is leading to, man. Great destruction. Okay, so all these moves being made, all these alliances all these alliances that we're seeing happening in the earth. Okay, and these nations joining forces is all for the purpose that the Lord has against Babylon, America. Okay, and also the destruction of Esau's power structure. Okay, because the destruction of America, is the beginning, okay, of the Lord finishing this man's kingdom. Okay, America is going to cap off, all right, the reign of Esau, Edom in the earth. Okay, let's get this in Jeremiah 49:13. It says, "For I have sworn by myself, said the Lord, that Basra shall become a desolation." Okay, a reproach, a waste, and a curse, and all the cities thereof shall be perpetual waste, man. Okay, so the Lord swore by Himself, man, and we're seeing the steps, all right, being made to fulfill this. Okay, to fulfill these things, man. All right, it's not going to be a long, drawn out war back and forth. No, the Lord, all right, got this thing set up to where America is going to be destroyed quick. Okay, in 1 hour. Okay, and we're watching the build up to it. Now, I want to go here just to show you, so we can see. All right, this is Isaiah 21:1. It says, "The burden of the desert of the sea, or the vision, as whirlwinds in the south pass through, so it coming from the desert, from a terrible land." All right, and it's talking in their region, what they call the Middle East. Okay, it says, "A grievous vision is declared unto me. The treacherous, the treacherous dealeth, all right, treacherously, okay, and the spoiler spoileth." And they're speaking of America. Okay, so America has just been this treacherous, all right, power in the earth, superpower in the earth that has just been having his way out here, man. Just been dealing treacherously, underhandedly, and spoiling the earth. Okay, so this is the reaction of what America has been doing in the earth. It has a reaction to it. It says, "Go up, O Elam." Okay, and you go into Elam, speaking of Persia, man. Okay, you see that? It says, "Go up, O Elam, besiege, O Media." And who are the modern Medes today? The Russians. Okay, so this is the alliance that we see, has been forged, okay, between Russia and Iran. Okay, well, guess what? These things are biblical. Okay, it says, "Go up, O Elam, besiege, O Media." Now you had the Persians and the Medes take down the Neo-Babylonian Empire. Okay, they that actually happened. But now in the spirit, we have this spiritual, all right, Medo-Persian Empire with Russia and Iran. Okay, it says, "Go up, O Elam, besiege, O Media. All the sign thereof have I made to cease." Yeah, so they're not in the spirit of just complaining about, American hegemony. All right, and hegemon, you hear that word, hegemon. That's the influence that America has in the earth. Okay, the influence that they have on other nations and governments in the earth. So the Lord got the spirit on Iran and Russia not to just complain about it, okay, but to rise up against this place, man. Okay, so this is what we're seeing happening real time. Okay, when you go here, Revelation. Yeah, was the brother got that too? Get that real quick. All right, this is the brother GMS Spiritual Art 144, Isaiah 13 and 17, it says, behold, I will stir up the Medes, okay, which are the modern Russians, against them, all right, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it, okay, because that's why you see Russia, China, they're operating outside the dollar. They're not going to beg America, to take away the sanctions, or okay, the sanctions are not going to hinder, okay, prophecy, man. Okay, it's not going to hinder, the animosity between, okay, these Russians, okay, and the West. Okay, it's only going to heighten it. It says their bows, verse 18, Isaiah 13:18 said, their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of their womb. Their eyes shall not spare children. Yeah, those missiles, all right, don't have any emotions. Okay. And the Lord has it where, Russia just has the top, missile program out of all these nations, man. Okay. But Russia has the most advanced missile systems, man. Okay. And they spread those missile systems around to their whole region. Okay. Just as prophecy said it would. You see? Let's go read verse 19. It says, in Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldeans excellent shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom, okay, and Gomorrah, okay. And why was Sodom and Gomorrah destroyed? Because of the lewd culture, okay. So these alliances are being made, to fulfill the destruction of America, the daughter of Babylon, okay. And just as Sodom and Gomorrah went out with fire, well, America's going to go out that same fire. Okay. So, yeah, let's go from there. Let's get this real quick in. I believe this here. All right, so let's go to Revelation, because one thing we have to understand, is that these devils, all right, these elites, they profit off of war. Okay, so they're in the background, pretty much stirring things up, but it's not going to go, because see, they're used to being able to manage wars, kind of control, all right, the flow of war. You see, and it's a racket for them. All right, but this is going to get out of control. Okay, this war is going to get out of their control, man. And ultimately, is Yahweh Shai and the angels are going to partake in this war. Okay, and conquer all these nations, man. All right, this is Revelation 16:12. It says, and the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared, man. Okay, and all those nations that have this alliance are on the east side of that Euphrates River. Okay, they're on the east side of it. All right, so all those alliances that are being made on the other side of the Euphrates, they're going to come forth, because all of them have to come to the valley of Jehoshaphat. Okay, the Lord's judgment. Okay, so all these nations have these connections and these alliances for the will of the Lord to fulfill out. Joel 3. Okay, he will call all the men of war. So this escalation that we see between, all right, Iran and these small hats is going to lead to these kings of the east. Hey, they're going to start to work their way, okay, to their region of the earth, man. Okay, for this great war. All right, the Valley of Jehoshaphat. Okay, Yahweh Shaphat, the Lord's judgment. Okay, so yeah, let's let's go to get this real quick in. So you get that in a second. Ezra's, I believe, is 15. You know, so yeah, it's not just gonna be a war with Iran. Everybody, war with Iran, war with Iran. It's not just gonna be Iran. You know, America's at war with Iran. Well, it can't go like that because too many economies depend on Iran. Okay, too many economies, all right, depend on Iran. All right, so the Lord not gonna let it play out. Okay, is it just Iran at war with America? Nah, man. Okay. I'm trying to find this one. Yeah, there you go. Okay, I'm gonna jump. So yeah, let's get this, and we'll end it here. You know, I think the point made. You know, and we're gonna continue to watch these things. See, you know, now the ball is in the court of these Israelis. You know, so we'll be watching. You know, getting intel, and we'll be reporting. Okay, but now, like I say, the ball is in the court of the Israelis. How they gonna respond? Hey, go for them. We're gonna go from them, man. You know, but hey, this is very interesting. You know what's playing out. Now this is the book of Second Ezra, chapter 15, verse 20 says, "Behold, said the Most High, I will call together all the kings of the earth to reverence me." So the Lord is summoning these kings, okay, from all throughout the earth. These leaders of these nations, the Lord is summoning their militaries, all right, to Him, okay. If a brother can put that in what is Zephaniah 3 and 8, brother can post that. It says, which are from the rising of the sun, from the south, from the east, and from Lebanon. All right, you see, so all these nations are being pulled into this conflict because they all have ties. They can't just sit back and watch a nation that they have all these economical ties with, all right, go to war. Nah, man, they got to get involved. All right, the Lord got it to where they're all tied in together some way, somehow, man. It says to turn themselves one against another and to repay the things that they have done to them. And that them is speaking of Israel. All right, and right now, speaking of the elect of Israel, see, the Lord is doing this on our behalf. Like what we're seeing, the Lord is orchestrating this on behalf of His elect, man. Okay, because this is leading up to, all right, deliverance. Okay, so the Lord has a plan. Our plan, hey, and we got our military, okay, is in the heavens. You know, we was outside hanging out, and last night, and we seen chariots, man. We seen a lot of chariots, man. Okay, Lord, will I do a video on it, man? We captured, some footage, but hey, we got a military too, man, in the heavens. Okay, that's why we don't need this man's weapons, man. When we got Yahweh by Shema Shah. Okay, so this is 2 Ezra 15 and 28. It says, "Behold, in horrible vision, an appearance thereof from the east, were the nations of the dragons of Arabia." Okay, speaking of Ishmael, Elam, because Arab just goes into mix, but you're gonna have Ishmael, Elam, okay, those Syrians, all right, and Armenians, the whole region, okay. It says, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth. All right, and the one thing that ties all these nations together was the Islamic faith. And that's an extreme religion. All right, especially them Shiite Muslims, man. Okay, but all of them, Shiite and Sunni, they're gonna come together. all right, for the purpose of prophecy, man, being fulfilled. It said that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. Also the Carmanians, which these goes to these Persians, these Iranians, man, raging in wrath shall go forth as wild boars of the wood. All right, and the wild boar is an extremely aggressive animal, when it's provoked. Okay, it's extremely aggressive. So we're going to see, they're going to keep playing around with Iran, and Iran is going to get extremely aggressive, man. It's going to operate in wrath, and it's going to be the wrath for the Lord, all right, operating through these Iranians, man. And with great power shall they come. So they coming with great power. Like, they got some things over there that's going to shock the world. Iran is going to shock the world stage when the Lord really has them getting active, man. Because guess what? One thing about it, when you have a role within prophecy, the Lord makes sure that you're fully equipped to fulfill your role in prophecy, man. Okay? Iran is going to shock the earth when they really get active over there, man. All right? It says, and join battle with them and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians, and the Syrians represent, America. Okay, and because all those assets that America has in that region, in the Middle East, Iran can touch it. Okay, and Iran is going to obliterate all those American assets over there, man. Okay, they're going to obliterate it. Because those bases are like an extension of America, man. That's why if you do attack American bases, it's like you're attacking American soil. Okay, so all those assets that America has in their region, they're going to be wiped out. Okay? It says, and then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature, and if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them, man. Okay? So this is how this plays out. Okay? This is how this is what everything is leading to, man. America finna catch L's everywhere. They're gonna catch the American military is gonna catch L's outside of America, okay, and inside America, man. Okay, they're gonna catch L's, man. So, this is why. Look, this is great news for us, man. Zephaniah 3:8. This is the brother GMS Spiritual Art 144. All right. Therefore, wait ye upon me, said the Lord, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble, all right, the kingdoms, to pour, all right, upon them my indignation, even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy, man. And it's speaking of all the militaries of the earth. Now, we know, like I said, America, that portion of the earth, is going to be completely destroyed. All right. It's going to be a desert. Okay. But the militaries of the earth are going to be consumed through fire, man. All right. Through nukes and through the chariots. Okay. So this is the lead up to that. We're seeing these things. Like I said, what Iran did, yesterday. All right. Hey, that takes this to a whole nother phase. And we'll just keep watch to see, how these things play out. Okay, we're gonna keep, Lord will, we're gonna keep up with the escalations, all right, of this war, all right. But this took the this moved up a few notches on the escalation ladder, all right. So yeah, that's the point. Just wanted to go into that to show, the ties, all right, that Russia and Iran has, also with China as well. Okay. So, Lord will, you was edified. Till the next time I say Shalom. On Yasha Allah, Abba soon.